Okay, fair enough. So then, if this is something that is prosecuted, then he should be able to show this document saying that he was deployed for this mission, even if he was not in the Middle East in any way. So, how often is something like this actually prosecuted, and do people defend themselves and win?
I think the it's not prosecuted often, but it's generally only when it's in regards to awards of valor, the Purple Heart, the Medal of
Okay.
Honor, the Navy Cross, things like that. It's not typically about time in service, combat deployment status, or things like that, or even rank upon leaving. It's
Mhm.
usually the awards of valor because the law is very clear about that. But we still should prosecute. We should prosecute him based on what he's done since that time. Let's prosecute him on he served as the ranking member of the Armed Forces Committee in the House for 12 years, and he voted against the most substantial veterans bill that Congress has passed in decades. It's called the Mission Act. That gives veterans that went to the war, that actually served in the war, and they were injured, it gives them the right to get medical care in the community instead of just the VA. He voted against it. He voted against it because he didn't want somebody from the other side to have a win. And that shows a
Mm.
severe lack of courage and character. He was
Yeah.
outspoken against Iraq war, which I think is the right position. But then he went to Congress and he voted to fund that war 12 years in a row and never took a substantial position against it. His character is flawed, and it's not because he overinflated his resume. It's because he is a flawed human being and he is not beyond reproach. And the Supreme Court has said he has the right to say and do the things that he has done on his resume. The Supreme Court's given him that right, and I think he is exercising that right to the highest order, and he's proving what an incredible jerk he is for overinflating his military status.
Okay, so last question, because you brought up partisan politics. I had to wonder as this news breaks, didn't they vet him for this? Didn't they realize this might be a problem? And in talking to my husband Clayton about this, he said they don't care because they don't think that they'll get military votes anyway. The Democrats just, that was his take on it. Can you respond to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think they're going to get many military votes. That's probably true, but more importantly, I don't think they care anyway. His demographics and his status, his social status, his race, his religion, how he votes on bills, those are more important to them than anything. Will he do what he is told? And he has proven that he is willing to get in line and be a yes man for whoever is pulling his chain. So he is the epitome of doublespeak, slick politicians who are verbal skeptics, maybe of open-ended and undeclared wars, but then do nothing really to change that. They're good boys and girls, and they refuse to use Congress's heaviest hammer to actually do something about the things that they claim publicly to be against. They'll never take the money away from something like a war that they're against because they are absolute yes men. And so
Okay.
he comes from Minnesota, and it's very important to understand Minnesota is the heart of this fight to keep the National Guard from going off and fighting in these wars. Their former governor, Governor Perpich, sued the Department of Defense and said, we're not sending the National Guard to fight in a war that you haven't declared. And the Supreme Court came back and said, we understand that. You can't stop the president from sending your National Guard troops outside of the country to train, but they refused to opine about war specifically. And Minnesota is the heart of this fight, and he is just not living up to what the folks in Minnesota would actually expect from their elected leaders.
Okay, but to the Democrats, he's the company guy. He'll do what he's told unless it involves going into combat, I guess.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They are no
Okay.
longer the party of anti-war. They are the war hawks or the chicken hawks, really, at this point in time, who would send their sons and daughters to fight off in any war, any place. Ukraine, yes. Israel, yes. Gaza, yes. China, yes. They're willing to fight anywhere right now to keep that industrial complex fed.
Yes, that's my take on it too. Thank you so much for your expertise on this. I really appreciate you breaking it down. Follow Sergeant Dan McKnight and also his organization, Bring Our Troops Home, because he is a great spokesman for peace and freedom. Thank you again for your time.
You bet. Thanks for having me on.